You've been reacting your whole life. Someone disrespects you, you snap. Something doesn't go your way, you complain. Plans fall apart, you spiral. That's not power, that's weakness. A strong person doesn't react. A strong person responds. There's a difference, and that difference defines your level of discipline. When you react, emotion controls you. When you respond, you control emotion. That's the key. You see, emotional reactions are primitive. They come from fear, ego, and insecurity. The person who reacts is the person who hasn't learned control. The person who responds is the person who has trained their mind. Let me say it again. Don't react. Respond. Every second you delay your reaction, you build discipline. Think about the soldier in battle. Bullets flying, chaos all around. Does he panic? He's trained to respond. He doesn't let fear decide his next move. He slows down, he breathes, he acts with control. That's not instinct. That's discipline built over years of training. Now look at your life. You might not be on a battlefield, but every day you face emotional gunfire, criticism, stress, failure, disrespect, frustration. And how do most people react? They fire back without thinking. They let anger speak before reason. They let impulse destroy progress. Then they regret it later. You've done it. I've done it. Everyone has. But mastery begins when you catch yourself before you explode. That's the moment of power. That 1-second pause, that breath, that's where strength is born. Every time you choose silence over shouting, patience over panic, clarity over chaos, you win. That's self-control in motion. You need to train that muscle. Because emotional control is a muscle. You build it through resistance. Someone insults you, pause, don't react, respond. Someone lets you down, pause, don't react, respond. You lose a deal, a client, a friend, pause, don't react, respond. That pause is your armor. That delay is your discipline. The world tests your emotions every day. People push your buttons. Situations trigger your insecurities. Life throws curveballs designed to provoke you. But here's the truth. They're not testing your emotions. They're testing your discipline. That's the real battle. Not outside, but inside. When you react, you give your power away. When you respond, you keep it. Look at the elite athlete. She doesn't react to the crowd, to the score, to the pressure. She stays composed, focused, unmoved. Her calmness is her weapon. That's what separates winners from amateurs. The amateur panics. The pro pauses. The CEO, under crisis, doesn't start blaming or shouting. He breathes. He analyzes. He acts strategically. Because leadership isn't about reacting faster. It's about responding smarter. That's the standard. That's the level you must reach. You can't live a disciplined life if you let every feeling dictate your behavior. That's emotional slavery. People who live by impulse destroy their focus, their relationships, their momentum. One reaction can cost you a friendship. One emotional outburst can destroy a reputation. One careless response can burn bridges you'll never rebuild. That's why calm is power. Calm is control. It's not that calm people don't feel emotion, they just don't obey it. That's the key. They process emotion, but they don't serve it. They feel anger, but they don't become anger. They feel fear, but they don't act from fear. They respond with clarity. Here's what you must do starting today. Recognize your triggers. Know what sets you off. What people, what situations, what words. Awareness is your first defense. Pause before you speak. Even 3 seconds of silence can save you from hours of regret. Ask yourself, what's the outcome I want? When you focus on outcomes, not emotions, you start responding with purpose, not impulse. Detach from ego. You don't need to win every argument. You need to win your peace. Train your nervous system. Breathe deep when you feel pressure. Walk away when your heart races. You're teaching your body that calm is safety, not chaos. Every repetition builds your power. Every pause makes you stronger. Don't mistake silence for weakness. Silence is strategy. When you don't react, you make others reveal themselves. You observe, you adapt, you control the field. That's how masters operate. Most people live in emotional chaos because they've never learned to delay their reaction. They live like a spark near gasoline. One wrong word and everything explodes. But you're building something else. You're learning to become untouchable. When you stop reacting, you become unpredictable. When you stop reacting, people lose power over you. When you stop reacting, you finally start choosing. And choice is freedom. That's what this chapter is about. Freedom through control. Every time you hold back that reaction, you earn more self-respect. Every time you respond with calmness, you strengthen your identity. This isn't about pretending to be emotionless, it's about mastering your emotions so they serve you, not sabotage you. That's real power. So from now on, when the insult comes, don't react. Respond. When the plan fails, don't react. Respond. When life tests you, don't react. Respond. Every second you delay your reaction, you build discipline. Every breath you take in calmness, you build strength. Every time you choose patience, you move closer to mastery. Don't react. Respond. That's how leaders think. That's how warriors move. That's how discipline is built. You've just taken the first step. You've learned the foundation of control. You've stopped being a victim of your emotions and started becoming their master. You mastered your reaction. Now let's talk about the next level, the true currency of your life. Pressure doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. It doesn't invent your weaknesses, it exposes them. Pressure is not the enemy. Your reaction to it is. Every time you feel overwhelmed, cornered, or anxious, life is handing you a mirror, a perfect reflection of what you still need to master inside yourself. You can run from it or you can study it. But make no mistake, you can't hide from it. Because pressure follows you. It meets you at every level. The higher you go, the tighter it gets. That's the truth most people avoid. They think success will remove pressure, but success only multiplies it. You don't escape pressure, you evolve under it. Pressure is a test. It asks one question. Can you stay calm when everything around you is shaking? That's the battlefield. Not your job, not your relationships, not your finances. The battlefield is your emotional control. When the situation heats up, when the stakes rise, when you start to feel that familiar rush of stress, your old patterns come out. Panic, overthinking, blame, anger, avoidance. Those are symptoms, not solutions, and the pressure exposes them all. Most people collapse under pressure because they've never practiced holding it. They've built comfort, not capacity. They've built excuses, not endurance. And when life demands strength, they reach for escape. But not you. You're done running. You're done hiding behind stories like, I'm just stressed, or I can't handle this right now. You can handle it. You just haven't trained for it yet. When you feel pressure, pause. Don't react. Observe. Ask yourself, what is this moment trying to show me? Is it showing you your lack of patience, your fear of judgment, your dependency on control? Because pressure always reveals your weakest muscle. If you panic, it means you've never built calmness under fire. If you lash out, it means you've never mastered your emotions when you're cornered. If you freeze, it means you've never trained to move with fear in your chest. That's what pressure is. It's feedback. It's data. It's pure honesty. And honesty is not comfortable. But it's powerful. Here's what the weak do. They mislabel pressure as a threat. They think pressure means something's wrong. They think tension means failure. So they look for ways to numb it. Scrolling, complaining, quitting. But those who rise, they know better. They understand. Pressure means growth. Pressure means evolution. Pressure means life is calling you to step up. You can't become strong without tension. You can't build composure without chaos. You can't develop poise without conflict. Pressure is the gym for your mind. Every moment of stress is a mental workout. So next time you feel that heart pounding, that breath shortening, that doubt creeping in, smile. Because life just handed you your next training session. You're not supposed to feel ready. You're supposed to feel tested. You have to stop seeing pressure as punishment. It's not punishment, it's permission. Permission to rise, permission to build mental muscle, permission to see what you're really made of. Every situation that once broke you was actually teaching you. Every challenge that drained you was actually shaping you, but you missed it because you were too busy resisting instead of receiving. Stop resisting, start responding. That's the discipline. Respond, don't react. Reactions are automatic, they come from emotion. Responses are deliberate, they come from awareness. When you respond, you take power back. When you react, you give power away. So the next time pressure hits, remember this. You have a choice. That's the key. You can react with chaos or respond with clarity. You can drown in emotion or direct it into focus. You can curse the situation or you can use it to sculpt yourself. Pressure is a mirror, and that mirror shows you everything you need to fix. Let's make it practical. When you're under pressure, slow your breath. Control your physiology before you try to control your thoughts. Detach from outcome. You don't need to fix it instantly. You just need to stay calm enough to see clearly. Analyze the feedback. What part of you is reacting? The fearful part? The insecure part? The impatient part? Train through repetition. Put yourself in small, uncomfortable situations daily. Cold showers, tough workouts, public speaking. Pressure becomes easier when it's familiar. Every rep under pressure builds emotional endurance, and emotional endurance turns chaos into clarity. That's what leaders do. That's what disciplined people do. They don't avoid pressure, they invite it. Because pressure refines, pressure purifies, pressure makes you sharper. Think of a diamond. It's just carbon, ordinary, until it faces unimaginable pressure. The same is true for you. Without pressure, you stay average. With it, you become exceptional. But that transformation is a choice. You can let pressure crush you, or you can let it carve you. When you stop fearing pressure, you stop fearing life. Because life will never stop applying it. Every level you reach comes with a new kind of weight. But if you've built inner stability, no external weight can break you. That's why discipline matters. It's not about control, it's about capacity. It's about building an inner state so strong that no external chaos can shake it. You want freedom? Build capacity. You want peace? Build stability. You want success? Build pressure tolerance. Because the world rewards those who can hold their ground when everyone else is breaking. So here's your challenge. Seek pressure. Stop hiding from it. Put yourself in rooms that make you uncomfortable. Take on responsibilities that stretch you. Have the hard conversations. Embrace the deadlines. Because the stronger your relationship with pressure becomes, the less it can control you. And when pressure can't control you, nothing can. Pressure shows you who you are. Don't escape it. Study it. You are not fragile. You are not weak. You are not broken. You've simply been untrained in the art of staying calm. Now is the time to train. Now is the time to evolve. Every time you feel that internal chaos rising, remember, this is the test. This is the training. This is the transformation, because pressure doesn't destroy, it defines. You've learned to see pressure as your mirror. You've learned to study it instead of escape it. That's mastery. Now let's take it deeper. You've seen how pressure exposes your emotions. But what fuels your ability to stay calm under that pressure? What gives you the power to stay centered when everyone else loses control? The answer is silence. Controlled, intentional, powerful silence. You mastered your fear. Now let's talk about the true currency of your life. Calm is not weakness. Calm is control. Calm is not surrender. Calm is strategy. The world has sold you the lie that loudness equals power, that aggression equals dominance, that whoever yells first wins. But that's wrong. The truth? Calm wins. Every single time. Calmness is the quiet authority that doesn't need to prove itself. It's the stillness in your mind when everyone else is losing theirs. Calmness isn't passive, it's deliberate. It's a decision. You don't stumble into calm. You build it. You earn it through discipline, through presence, through preparation. When chaos hits, when emotions rise, when someone tries to bait you, your calmness becomes your armor. Because calm people see what others miss. Calm people think while others react. Calm people lead while others panic. Calmness wins. Calmness leads. Calmness commands. That's not a slogan, it's reality. You can't make strong decisions from a weak emotional state. You can't negotiate, lead, or fight effectively when your mind is hijacked by anger or fear. The moment you lose your calm, you lose your clarity. And the moment you lose your clarity, you hand over your power. People think emotions make them authentic, that screaming makes them strong. But what it really makes them is predictable. And predictability is vulnerability. The calm person, they can't be read. They can't be controlled. They can't be provoked. That's why calm is a weapon. Think about it. In business, in relationships, in conflict, who wins? Not the loudest, not the flashiest. The one who stays composed while everyone else unravels. When you stay calm, you're not suppressing emotion. You're mastering it. You're directing it. Because calm doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've built the strength to feel without letting it steer you. That's discipline. That's mastery. That's control. You have to train for calm, the same way a fighter trains for a fight. You don't wait until chaos hits to learn composure. You practice it every day, in the little frustrations, the small inconveniences, the quiet battles of patience and ego. Someone cuts you off in traffic, breathe. Someone disrespects you, Pause. Something goes wrong. Step back. Each time you resist the impulse to react, you sharpen the blade of your calm. Calmness wins. Calmness leads. Calmness commands. You want real power? Stop reacting. Start responding. A reaction is emotional. A response is strategic. The person who reacts is controlled by others. The person who responds controls the game. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals, between boys and men, between chaos and command. Anyone can throw a punch, anyone can shout, but it takes strength to stay centered when everything's trying to pull you apart. When you master calm, you master conflict. You can stand in the fire and still see clearly. You can be insulted and still stay focused. You can lose a battle without losing yourself. And that's the point, because calm people don't chase temporary wins. They play the long game. When you're calm, you think in years, not moments. You see patterns, not noise. You make moves, not reactions. You stop trying to win arguments and start building empires. That's what composure gives you, longevity. But here's the truth no one tells you. Calmness feels unnatural at first. It feels like you're letting people get away with things. It feels like you're being too quiet. It feels like you're not doing enough. That's your ego talking. That's your addiction to chaos speaking. Because we live in a culture addicted to reaction. We scroll for outrage. We argue for validation. We shout for attention. But attention isn't respect. Noise isn't power. Calm is. Calmness makes people lean in. Calmness makes people trust you. Calmness makes people follow you. Because when everyone else is panicking and you're still steady, people feel it. They sense that quiet confidence, that authority, that stability. That's leadership. Calmness wins. Calmness leads. Calmness commands. It's not about pretending nothing affects you. It's about showing that nothing controls you. That's the real difference. The storm still hits, but you don't get swept away by it. You breathe, you observe, you decide. And in that moment, you separate yourself from 99% of people. Because most people act on impulse. You act on intention. Most people let their emotions drive their actions. You let discipline drive yours. And that's what makes calm such a dangerous weapon. Because it's invisible. No one sees it coming. They expect you to react, to break, to scream. But you don't. You just watch. You just think. You just move when it's time. And when you finally act, it's precise. It's lethal. It's effective. Because calm doesn't rush. Calm strikes only when ready. Here's the rule. Never let emotions make your moves. Let your principles make them. Calm doesn't mean emotionless. It means emotionally disciplined. The strongest warriors in history weren't loud. They were patient. The best leaders weren't reactive. They were observant. The greatest minds weren't chaotic. They were composed. So ask yourself, how calm are you when the world starts shaking? Do you crumble or do you command? Do you explode or do you endure? That's the test. Calm isn't built in comfort, it's forged in crisis. You become calm through pressure, through failure, through moments where you could have lost it, but didn't. Each of those moments is training. Each of those moments is sharpening your control. Because every time you choose calm, you choose power. Every time you choose composure, you choose clarity. Every time you choose stillness, you choose strength. And when you make that choice enough times, it stops being a choice. It becomes who you are. So remember this, when emotions rise, slow down. When chaos erupts, breathe deeper. When you want to shout, stay silent. When you want to fight, observe. Because the calm one always has the advantage, always. That's the power they never see coming. That's the energy that bends the room. That's the weapon no one can disarm. Calmness wins, calmness leads, calmness commands. You don't need to prove yourself through noise. You prove yourself through presence, through control, through mastery. And that's how you win. Quietly, consistently, completely. You've learned how to hold your ground under pressure. You've learned how to let stillness become your strength. Now it's time to master the next level of control, the discipline of silence. There's always a moment, a split second, between what happens and what you do next. That gap is power. Most people never find it. They live like slaves to impulse. Someone disrespects them, they explode. Traffic slows, they curse. A plan fails, they quit. They react, instantly, emotionally, blindly. And that's why they stay stuck. But you're here to build mastery. And mastery starts with that invisible moment, the gap between stimulus and reaction. Because inside that gap lives everything. Your peace, your discipline, your future. When something happens, your body reacts first. The heart races, the breath shortens, the brain floods with chemicals screaming, "Do something." That's the primitive mind talking, the survival system. It's fast, it's emotional, it's reactive. But you're not meant to live like an animal. You're built for control, for awareness, for choice. You have a choice. You can let instinct control you. You take a breath, or you can take a breath and choose your next move. That's the key. Every situation you face, every argument, every setback, every insult gives you that same sacred window. A microsecond where your mind whispers, "Wait, don't react, decide." That's where power is built. You master yourself in those seconds when your old self wants to scream. You train yourself by not giving in to that first emotion. You breathe, you wait, you choose. That's mastery. Breathe, wait, choose. That's mastery. Think about it. The strongest people you've ever seen, mentally, emotionally, they don't move fast under pressure. They move deliberately because they've trained their minds to slow time. Someone yells at them, they pause. They don't match chaos with chaos. They match chaos with clarity. They know that reaction is cheap. But response is expensive. It costs awareness, patience, control. And that's what discipline really is. It's not about pretending you don't feel anger, frustration, or fear. It's about refusing to let those emotions make your decisions for you. You feel it, but you don't obey it. You pause, you observe, you decide. The mind loves speed, it loves to react, because reacting feels powerful, even when it's destructive. You shout, you send the text, you make the impulsive decision, and for a moment you feel alive. But then regret settles in. You gave away your control for a quick release. That's the trap of reactivity. You mistake movement for progress, noise for strength, speed for mastery. Slow down. When you master the pause, you stop being a victim of your emotions. You stop letting people pull your strings. You become unshakable. Breathe, wait, choose. That's mastery. Here's the truth most people can't accept. You are not responsible for everything that happens to you, but you are entirely responsible for how you respond. That's where your life is decided. Not in what happens, but in how you respond to it. The gap between stimulus and reaction is where the weak lose control and the strong take command. That's the battlefield of self-mastery. You can't always control the external world, but you can control the internal one. And that's where power starts. When someone disrespects you, don't react. Observe your instinct. Notice the heat rising in your chest and breathe through it. That's training. Every breath you take in that moment is a rep for your emotional discipline. Every second you wait before responding is you lifting the weight of self-control. You're not running from emotion, you're mastering it. You're not suppressing it, you're steering it. That's mastery. Let me give you something practical, a training method, because discipline is not theory. It's practice. When something triggers you, stop. Literally stop. Take a single deep breath in through your nose. Exhale slowly. That's your gap. That's your reset. Name what you feel. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm hurt. Label it, because naming emotion breaks its control. Then, ask yourself, what's the outcome I want? Not what do I feel like doing, but what will move me forward. Then act, not out of emotion, but out of intention. That's how you turn a reactive life into a deliberate one. That's how you turn chaos into clarity. Breathe, wait, choose. That's mastery. When you train this daily, you begin to notice something incredible. The world slows down. You start seeing choices where others see triggers. You start choosing peace when others choose drama. You start owning your emotions instead of being owned by them. And people will notice. They'll call you cold, detached, distant, because they can't manipulate someone who doesn't react. But don't let that bother you. It's not coldness, it's control. It's not distance, it's direction. It's not suppression. It's strength. You're not emotionless. You're emotionally disciplined. That's a higher level of consciousness. That's the level of leaders, warriors, and masters. This is how calm becomes your weapon. This is how presence becomes your armor. And this is how choice becomes your freedom. The world doesn't need more reactors. It needs more masters. People who can stand in the storm and stay still. People who don't let the noise decide their next move. You can be that person. If you're willing to train that gap, if you're willing to wait when it hurts, if you're willing to breathe when your ego screams to react, because that's when transformation happens, not in the action, but in the restraint before it. Breathe. Wait. Choose. That's mastery. When you master the gap, life stops feeling chaotic, because you're no longer at the mercy of everything that happens. You become the anchor. You become the calm in your own storm. People will wonder how you stay so centered when everything's burning around you. But you'll know. You trained for this. You earned this peace through patience, through repetition, through discipline. You became the master of your mind, not its prisoner. That's the real victory. That's the real freedom. You have a choice in every moment. React and lose control, or pause and own it. Every breath is a decision. Every silence is strength. Every pause is power. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Breathe, wait, choose. That's mastery. You mastered your reaction. You found power in the pause. Now it's time to learn the next level of control, where your words become your weapon, and your silence becomes your shield. Your emotions don't deserve authority. Your principles do. That's where strength begins. Every time you let feelings dictate your actions, you weaken the muscle that builds your character. You reinforce the habit of surrender. You give control to something unstable, your emotions, when control should belong to something immovable, your standards. That's the battle you fight every day. And that's the battle most people lose. Because most people want to feel good before they do good. They wait to be in the mood before they take action. They think motivation comes first, then execution follows. They've got it backward. Winners know something different. They act on commitment, not on mood. They move because it's time to move, not because they feel like it. That's the key. When you're tired, you show up anyway. When you're uninspired, you execute anyway. When you're emotional, you stay disciplined anyway. That's how you build internal power. Let me tell you something harsh, but true. Feelings lie. Standards don't. Your feelings will tell you it's okay to take a break when you haven't earned it. Your feelings will justify your excuses, disguise your fears as logic, and turn your comfort into your prison. And the moment you start believing those feelings, you begin the slow decay of your potential. You stop pushing, you stop growing, you start slipping. That's the silent trap, because it doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly, one emotional decision at a time. Skipping one workout, delaying one task, ignoring one promise. Each time you let your emotions decide, you teach yourself that weakness has a vote. You teach yourself that feelings deserve power. They don't. You see, discipline is not about killing emotion. It's about dethroning it. You can feel anger. You can feel fear. You can feel tired, sad, overwhelmed. Feel it. That's fine. But act based on your standard, not your emotion. Because emotion is temporary. Standard is permanent. Emotion is chaos. Standard is order. Emotion reacts. Standard decides. Discipline is the bridge between what you feel and what you said you'd do. When you cross that bridge consistently, you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people are emotionally loyal. They are loyal to how they feel. But winners, true winners, are loyal to their code. When they say they'll do something, it's already done. Not because they want to do it, but because they said they would. That's integrity. That's self-respect. That's power. The weak wait to feel ready. The disciplined act first and let the feelings catch up later. Stop asking, do I feel like it? Start saying, I said I'd do it. That's how standards win. Think about soldiers in the freezing cold. Think about athletes training when no one's watching. Think about single parents showing up day after day, exhausted but relentless. Do you think they feel good every day? Do you think they're always motivated? No. They've just learned the truth. Feelings can't be trusted. You don't need to feel confident to act with confidence. You don't need to feel strong to behave with strength. You don't need to feel ready to begin. Action doesn't follow emotion. Emotion follows action. That's the secret most never understand. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you build credibility with yourself. Every time you act on your standard, your brain learns, I can trust myself. And that trust becomes your real power. Because when you can trust yourself to do what's required, no matter what mood you're in, you become unstoppable. No anxiety can shake you. No setback can define you. No excuse can seduce you. Because your word becomes law. That's the moment you shift from living reactively to living intentionally. You stop being a slave to emotion and start being the master of your mind. Let's make it practical. You want to stop letting feelings dictate your standards? Here's how. Step 1. Set clear, non-negotiable standards. Write them down. What are your daily non-negotiables? What are the actions that define your standard, no matter how you feel? Maybe it's a workout, maybe it's studying an hour, maybe it's waking up early. Whatever it is, make it your law. Step 2. Commit before you feel ready. Stop waiting for the mood. Start with motion. The feeling will come later. Movement creates momentum. Step 3. Recognize emotional manipulation. When your mind says, "I'll do it later," or "I'm too tired," call it what it is, a trap. That's emotion trying to negotiate with your standard. Don't negotiate, enforce. Step 4. Reward consistency, not comfort. Celebrate the days you did it despite feeling bad. Those are the victories that matter. Step 5. Rehearse this mantra daily. Discipline over emotion, standards over feelings. Always. Repeat it. Drill it into your mind until it becomes your reflex. Because repetition creates identity, and identity drives behavior. You will not rise to your level of motivation. You will fall to your level of discipline. That's why standards exist, to protect you from yourself. The world doesn't care about how you feel. The world responds to what you do. Your results don't ask, "Were you tired?" Your goals don't care, "Were you sad?" Your growth doesn't depend on comfort. It depends on consistency. And consistency comes from discipline, never from emotion. When you start operating from your standards, something amazing happens. Your emotions begin to respect you. They stop controlling you because you've shown them you won't bend. They stop rebelling because you've proven you're in charge. Discipline trains emotion. It doesn't erase it. It teaches it how to behave. You become emotionally intelligent not by obeying your feelings, but by mastering them. You don't suppress emotion. You direct it. That's leadership of self. Every time you wake up early when you wanted to sleep in, every time you go to the gym when your body says no, every time you choose silence instead of emotional reaction, you're not just acting disciplined, you're becoming disciplined. You're rewriting your code. You're declaring, "I don't follow moods, I follow standards." And that identity, that self-command, is what separates the average from the exceptional. So the next time your emotions scream, stop, whisper back. Discipline over emotion, standards over feelings, always. Because emotion is a visitor, discipline is a resident. Emotion fades, standard remains, and your success, your peace, your power will always belong to the one who acts on principle, not on feeling. You've learned to silence emotional control. You've learned to stand on your standard. Now it's time to take that control to the next level. Because mastering your internal world isn't just about what you do. It's about what you don't say. You've conquered reaction. Now let's conquer silence. Real strength doesn't shout. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need to announce itself. Real strength is silent. It's calm. It's measured. And it's in control. The weak explode. The strong absorb. You see it every day. People reacting, posting, arguing, defending themselves for every small thing. They think they're proving something. But all they're really doing is bleeding power. Every outburst, every defensive comment, every attempt to prove worth is a confession. I am not in control of myself. Restraint is power, because restraint is choice, and choice is control. When you hold back, when you could lash out, when you stay calm when others panic, you're not suppressing your power. You're refining it. You're turning raw emotion into focused energy. That's dominance. That's leadership. That's what separates those who react from those who command. Silence is not weakness. It's dominance in disguise. Most people fear silence because it exposes them. It forces them to sit with their own discomfort, their own thoughts. But when you learn to be comfortable in silence, you stop fearing what others think. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to fill every quiet moment with noise or justification. Every moment you stay silent when someone tries to provoke you, you're teaching the world something. You can't be moved easily. And that's terrifying to them. Because silence creates tension. It creates uncertainty. It creates presence. The loudest person in the room wants attention. The quietest one already has it. Restraint builds gravity. Every time you hold your tongue, every time you walk away from nonsense, every time you stay composed under pressure, you add weight to your presence. People feel it even when you say nothing. That's why restraint is a rare skill. Because it's invisible. You don't get applause for it. You don't get recognition for it. But your silence echoes louder than any speech. Think about it. The strongest leaders, the most disciplined people, the ones who truly move others, they rarely talk to prove themselves. They let their work speak. They let their results roar. You have to understand this. Talking is easy. Posting is easy. Arguing is easy. Restraint is not. That's why it's powerful. You want to know why people respect restraint? Because it's a sign of control. And control is the highest form of strength. Anyone can throw a punch. Anyone can raise their voice. But to hold still, to smile, to walk away, that takes a deeper kind of power. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about caring so deeply for your energy, your peace, your purpose, that you refuse to waste it. That's the essence of discipline. You decide where your attention goes. You decide who gets your energy. You decide what deserves a reaction. And most things don't. You don't need their permission to stay silent. You don't owe explanations. You don't owe reactions. You don't owe access. When someone tries to drag you into their chaos, remember, silence is a shield. It protects you from manipulation, from emotional traps, from unnecessary drama. Because when you react, they control you. When you stay silent, you control the situation. That's the paradox most people never understand. Silence isn't submission. It's strategy. You might think, but if I don't defend myself, they'll think I'm weak. No. They'll wonder what you know that they don't. Silence makes them question. Reaction gives them answers. When you stop explaining yourself to everyone, you become unpredictable. And unpredictable people hold power, because no one can manipulate what they can't predict. So stop reacting to every provocation. Stop feeding every argument. Stop proving your worth to people who were never listening. You don't need to say it. You need to live it. Restraint is discipline in motion. Every time you hold back from a reactive impulse, every time you stop yourself from posting out of emotion, replying out of anger, or speaking just to fill the void, you're strengthening your inner discipline. You're training your nervous system to stay calm under fire. You're teaching your mind that peace is not the absence of chaos. It's the mastery of self-control within it. The greatest warriors are not the ones who destroy. They're the ones who can choose when to act and when to stay still. That's you. If you decide to be, you have a choice. You can either react and lose energy, or you can restrain and build it. You can speak to be heard, or you can stay silent and be felt. Restraint doesn't mean inaction. It means choosing the right action. It's not passivity. It's precision. When you wait, when you observe, when you hold your power instead of spilling it, you begin to see clearly. You stop chasing instant validation and start mastering delayed gratification. And that's the difference between amateurs and professionals, between noise and power. Here's what you need to do. Pause before reacting. Count to 3 before you respond to criticism. Let your emotions cool before you speak. Observe before judging. The first reaction is usually emotional, the second is usually wise. Respond only when it adds value. Every word should serve a purpose. If it doesn't, stay silent. Protect your energy. Not every battle deserves a warrior. Save your fire for what truly matters. These are not just habits, they're weapons. Silent, invisible, and unstoppable. Because when you master restraint, you master control. And when you master control, you become untouchable. Silence is not weakness. It's dominance in disguise. When you sit in silence, you're not losing your voice, you're sharpening it, you're charging it. So when you finally speak, it carries weight. It carries truth. It carries authority. You're not the one who speaks the most. You're the one they wait to hear. That's real power. Every word you don't say is a test you pass. Every argument you don't enter is a battle you've already won. Every silence you hold builds an empire within you, brick by brick, made of focus, patience, and control. So remember this. The one who stays silent when provoked isn't weak. They're calculating. They're conserving. They're commanding. Because silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is under control. You've learned the power of restraint, the art of holding your strength in silence. You've built internal gravity. You've learned to dominate without words. You've mastered control. Now it's time to go deeper. Because control isn't just about silence, it's about energy. Where you give it, where you lose it, and how to take it back. Ego needs to be seen. Ego needs to be heard. Ego needs to be validated. That's why it panics under pressure. Ego doesn't want control. It wants attention. It doesn't want mastery. It wants applause. And when it doesn't get that attention, it starts to scream, it starts to make noise, it starts to sabotage your calm. You've seen it happen, in others, in yourself. You were doing fine, focused, disciplined, steady, and then someone challenged you. They questioned your authority, they doubted your skill. And suddenly, the voice in your head started shouting, "I'll show them, I'll prove them wrong." That's the ego. That's the trap. Because the moment you start fighting for validation, you lose the mission. Understand this clearly. Ego and calm cannot coexist. When ego rises, calm collapses. When calm rises, ego dissolves. Ego is fragile. It's loud because it's weak. It's insecure, defensive, addicted to proving something. It wants to be right, not effective. It wants to win arguments, not win wars. That's why the ego will destroy your focus if you let it. The calm mind doesn't need to react. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to prove. The calm mind simply executes. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs chase validation. Professionals chase victory. Amateurs argue. Professionals adapt. Amateurs talk about what they deserve. Professionals focus on what they deliver. You have to decide which one you'll be. When pressure hits, your ego will whisper, "Don't let them disrespect you." But the mission says, "Stay focused, stay silent, stay sharp." When someone doubts you, your ego says, "They can't talk to me like that." But your discipline says, "Let them talk, I'll keep moving." When life hits hard, the ego says, "This isn't fair." But the mission says, "Fair doesn't matter, finish the job." You must choose. Every single time. Detach from ego. Return to mission. Say it again. Detach from ego. Return to mission. This is the habit that separates leaders from losers. Losers argue to protect their image. Leaders adjust to protect their mission. When ego takes over, every emotion becomes a threat. Anger, frustration, jealousy, they all rise to defend a fragile self-image. And the more you defend that image, the more your control slips away. But when you detach from ego, emotions lose their power. You stop taking everything personally. You stop reacting to noise. You stop wasting energy proving your worth. You already know who you are. You don't need their permission. You don't need their praise. You don't need their approval. That's the key. Because as long as ego is in charge, calm is impossible. And without calm, precision is impossible. Without precision, execution fails. And when execution fails, everything falls apart. That's why people with big egos often crash the hardest. They build their identity on how they look, not on what they do. So the moment they're not admired, they collapse. Ego says, "I need recognition." Discipline says, "I need results." Ego says, "They better respect me." Discipline says, "I respect myself enough to stay calm." Ego says, "I'll show them." Discipline says, "I'll show up." Every time you choose ego, you trade your power for insecurity. Every time you choose calm, you trade your insecurity for strength. That's the law. You can't lead anyone if you can't lead yourself. And you can't lead yourself if your ego's in charge. The ego feeds off noise, arguments, reactions, drama. It loves chaos because chaos keeps you distracted. It loves emotional storms because storms make it feel alive. But discipline thrives in stillness. When things get loud, discipline listens. When things get chaotic, discipline breathes. When things get personal, discipline detaches. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to react to every challenge. That's ego talking. That's weakness pretending to be strength. Calm is the real power. Calm is control. Calm is confidence without noise. The next time someone disrespects you, don't react. Detach from ego. Return to mission. The next time life throws something unfair your way, don't complain. Detach from ego. Return to mission. The next time you feel that urge to prove your worth, stop. You don't need to prove. You just need to perform. That's how you win quietly. That's how you dominate consistently. Calm is not the absence of emotion. It's the command of emotion. That's the key. Because emotions will always exist. Fear, anger, doubt, they'll visit your mind every single day. You can't erase them. You can't outsmart them. But you can master them. The unshakable mind isn't built in peace. It's built in pressure. It's forged in chaos. It's tempered in fire. When everything goes wrong, when people betray you, when plans collapse, that's when your training begins. Most people break. They react, they panic, they lose control of their tone, their body, their thoughts. They surrender their power to the situation. But you're not most people. You're here to become untouchable. You're here to train your mind to stay still while the world spins out of control. You're here to reach that place of absolute internal command where you can say, "Nothing shakes me, nothing moves me, I am still." Say it again. Nothing shakes me, nothing moves me, I am still. That's not arrogance, that's discipline, that's self-mastery. That's the point of all the pain, all the setbacks, all the tests life throws your way, to give you the chance to learn calm under pressure. Because anyone can look composed when things are easy, but only the disciplined remain calm when life punches them in the mouth. The unshakable mind is built through exposure. You have to face chaos to become immune to it. Just like your muscles grow under stress, your mind grows under pressure. You want strength? Stop running from discomfort. You want peace? Stop avoiding conflict. You want calm? Stop chasing control. Calm doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from commanding yourself within the world. It's not about avoiding triggers. It's about becoming trigger-proof. That's the key. Every insult, every failure, every delay, they're not obstacles. They're opportunities. Tests designed to reveal where you still lose yourself. You want to know how strong your mind is? Watch yourself when things don't go your way. Do you tense up? Do you lash out? Do you spiral into frustration? Or do you breathe, observe, and respond with purpose? The unshakable mind always chooses presence over panic. It doesn't mean you don't feel emotion. It means emotion doesn't own you. Here's what most people get wrong. They think peace is passive. They think being calm means being weak, but calm is strength under full control. Calm is power without noise. Calm is chaos organized. The man who can stand still while the storm rages, that's real strength. Because when your emotions are under control, your choices are clear. Your judgment sharpens. Your voice steadies. You see things for what they are, not for how you feel about them. That's why emotional discipline is the foundation of every form of mastery. Leadership, business, relationships, performance, everything. You can't lead others until you lead yourself. You can't win battles until you win the one in your head. You can't command results until you command your reactions. That's the truth, and you know it. So how do you build that level of unshakable calm? You train it every single day. Step 1, observe before reacting. When something irritates you, don't respond immediately. Pause, feel the impulse to react, and just watch it. This is where most people fail. They react instantly because silence feels weak, but silence is control. The pause is where strength lives. That's where the gap between emotion and action exists. That's where your freedom hides. Master the gap. Step 2, detach from the outcome. You can't control everything, and when you try to, you destroy your peace. Let go of what you can't change. Detach from what doesn't belong to you. Detach from their opinions. Detach from their validation. Detach from the illusion that everything must go your way. You don't need their permission. You don't need the world's approval. You only need your discipline. That's how you stay centered. Step 3, train discomfort. Put yourself in situations that challenge you, physical, mental, emotional. Don't avoid stress, use it. Every time you stay calm when you want to explode, your power increases. Every time you hold your composure in chaos, your foundation solidifies. The world will try to pull you into reaction. Don't take the bait. Let them lose themselves in emotion. You stay grounded in logic. Let them drown in drama. You stay anchored in truth. Let them scream. You stay silent. That's power. The unshakable mind doesn't need validation. It doesn't need to prove strength. It doesn't need to show calm. It is calm. When you reach that state, people can't manipulate you. They can't intimidate you. They can't control you through guilt, anger, or fear. Because you've trained your nervous system to stay still. You've taught your mind to pause. You've become your own center. That's what untouchable means. Untouchable doesn't mean isolated. It means sovereign, independent. You're no longer a slave to how you feel. You're no longer tossed around by other people's chaos. You move with purpose, not emotion. That's what separates the few from the masses. Remember this. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to stand still in the storm. You can't erase emotion, but you can master it. You can't control everything around you, but you can control how you move within it. That's the game. That's the discipline. And that's how you become unshakable. Every moment of chaos in your life. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Every time you're tested, you're being refined. The The goal isn't to feel nothing, the goal is to feel everything and still remain calm. Because when you can stay calm in the middle of fear, you're dangerous. When you can stay calm in the face of insult, you're powerful. When you can stay calm in the presence of chaos, you're free. Freedom is the ultimate strength. Freedom from reaction, freedom from ego, freedom from emotional slavery. That's the real victory. That's the power of the unshakable mind. Repeat it one more time. Let it sink into your bones. Nothing shakes me. Nothing moves me. I am still. You've learned how to command your inner world. You've learned to control your emotions before they control you. You've built stillness in the storm. Now it's time to master the final level, the silent power that amplifies every ounce of your strength. You've built calm. Now let's build silence. You've been told to control your emotions, but nobody told you how. They said, stay calm. They said, don't overreact. They said, be patient. But when your heart is racing, your palms are sweating, and your jaw is tight with anger, those words don't mean anything. Here's the truth most people never understand. Emotional control starts in the body. Your body drives your emotions, and until you master your physical state, you will never command your emotional state. When your body is chaotic, your emotions are chaotic. When your breathing is shallow, your thoughts race. When your posture collapses, your confidence collapses. When your face tightens, your words lose power. That's the link. That's the secret. You don't control emotions by suppressing them. You control them by grounding them. You anchor them through physiology. That's the key. Look around at people who lose control. They lash out, they fidget, their breath is fast and erratic. Their voices rise, their shoulders tense up. They think their feelings made them react that way. But the truth is reversed. Their body created those feelings. You have to reverse the loop. If your body drives your emotions, then you can use your body to reprogram your emotions. And that's the lesson. That's the discipline. Start with your breath. Your breath is the steering wheel of your emotional state. When your breath is fast, you are anxious. When your breath is deep and slow, you are calm and focused. So when pressure hits, don't talk yourself out of panic. Breathe yourself out of panic. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale through your mouth for 6. Do it again and again. Each cycle tells your nervous system, you're safe. Each breath reclaims control from chaos. That's not magic. That's physiology. Your body is wired to calm itself through breath, but only if you give the signal. Control the body, command the mind. Now your posture. Your posture is your emotional architecture. You cannot feel strong if your body looks weak. You cannot feel confident if your shoulders are slumped forward. You cannot lead if your spine is bent like submission. Stand tall. Plant your feet shoulder-width apart. Relax your shoulders. Keep your chin up. That simple shift in posture sends a command to your nervous system. We are stable. We are in charge. Your physiology is always talking to your psychology. If your body says defeat, your mind will obey. If your body says control, your emotions will align. That's the key. You train emotional control through physical discipline. Next, your tone. Your voice is the bridge between thought and action. When you speak with tension, your mind hears panic. When you speak with steadiness, your mind hears certainty. Control your tone and you anchor your power. Even when chaos surrounds you, your calm voice tells your brain, we are not afraid. That's why leaders sound calm under pressure. They're not just acting calm, they're building calm. Their tone is a tool, not a reaction. So when your emotions start to rise, lower your tone. Slow your words. Command this with rhythm, not volume. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You just need to be grounded. Control the body, command the mind. Here's what most people do wrong. They fight emotions with logic. They try to think their way out of rage, fear, or panic. But logic is useless when your body is in survival mode. You can't reason with adrenaline. You can only regulate it. That's the missing skill. Regulation through physical awareness. Not suppression. Not denial. Control. Breathe slower. Move slower. Speak slower. And watch how your emotions start to follow. You can't fake calm. You create it through deliberate physical control. Let's get practical. Next time you feel angry, pause. Don't argue. Don't react. Focus on your breath. Stand tall. Exhale slowly. Next time you feel anxious, pause. Feel your feet on the ground. Straighten your back. Roll your shoulders down. Inhale deep through your nose. Next time you feel disrespected, pause, lower your voice, relax your jaw, look directly ahead, not down. That's not weakness, that's power. Because power is not in reacting, it's in regulating. You train it every day through your body. The discipline of breathing, the discipline of posture, the discipline of tone. And over time you'll notice something. Your emotions no longer control you. You control them. That's not luck, that's training. And like any skill, it grows with repetition. Control the body, command the mind. When you feel chaos, anchor in the body. When you feel fear, breathe deeper. When you feel anger, ground your stance. When you feel doubt, raise your chin. These are not small gestures. They are commands to your system, signals of mastery, signals of strength. Because emotional control is not passive. It's not being chill. It's the act of disciplining your physical presence until your emotions obey. That's what power looks like. Not noise, not rage, not panic, just calm control built from the inside out. So remember this, you can't control what happens to you, but you can control your breath. You can control your posture, you can control your tone, and those three are enough to shift everything. The body is the foundation, the mind follows the body, and emotion follows the mind. So when the storm comes, don't react, reset your body, and let control rise through discipline. Control the body, command the mind. That's the formula, that's the path. That's how you win under pressure. You've learned to use your body as your anchor. Now let's move deeper. Because once your emotions are stable, you'll need to master what fuels them next, your energy. You control your emotions through your body, but you control your energy through your focus. Get ready. Stop labeling every challenge as stress. Stop calling every unexpected moment overwhelm. Stop treating discomfort like it's a wound. It's not trauma, it's training. Every storm you face is a repetition. Every problem that shakes you is a rep under pressure. And every rep under pressure is building something you can't see yet, your emotional armor. You see, most people panic when life gets chaotic. They interpret chaos as punishment. They see disorder as a personal attack. But the ones who grow, the ones who lead, the ones who win, they interpret chaos differently. They see it as feedback. They see it as resistance training for the mind. They know that every storm is a chance to build steadiness. That's the difference. That's the key. You can't control the storm, but you can control how you train inside it. When life throws you chaos, it's not asking for your panic. It's testing your discipline. Because chaos exposes what's real. It strips away the fake calm you have when things are easy. It shows you what kind of foundation you actually stand on. When things are predictable, everyone looks composed. But when things collapse, when the plan burns, when people betray you, when timing fails, that's when your training shows. So when chaos hits, don't say, "Why me?" Say, "Good. Time to train." Say, "Let's see what I'm made of." Say, "Every storm makes me steadier. Every test makes me tighter." Say it again. "Every storm makes me steadier. Every test makes me tighter." That's not just a line. That's your new operating system. You see, the problem isn't that chaos visits you. The problem is that you expect peace to be permanent. Peace isn't the natural state of the world. Disorder is, uncertainty is, change is. And if you can learn to operate in chaos, to breathe through it, to execute inside it, to stay calm while others lose their minds, then you become unstoppable. Because chaos doesn't destroy the disciplined, it refines them. Pressure doesn't break composure, it polishes it. That's why you can't avoid chaos. You need it. Without chaos, you can't calibrate your calm. Without difficulty, you can't test your discipline. Without failure, you can't confirm your growth. The calm you have today was built through yesterday's storms, and tomorrow's chaos will build the next level of your steadiness. So let's talk about your reaction. What do you do when chaos hits? You stop. You breathe. You slow your inner dialogue. You don't feed the panic. You don't fight reality. You don't dramatize the moment. You anchor. You remind yourself, this is not trauma, this is training. That single line rewires everything, because the brain loves to exaggerate danger. It loves to say, "I can't handle this." But that's the mind of a victim talking. You're not a victim, you're a student of pressure. Pressure is your classroom, chaos is your curriculum, and composure is your graduation. Think of a soldier. They don't get calmer by reading about calm. They get calmer by facing chaos repeatedly until it loses its bite, until the explosion doesn't make them flinch, until the noise doesn't control them. That's you. Every day, life throws emotional explosions your way. Arguments, failures, delays, betrayals, rejections, and you think, why is this happening to me? Wrong question. Ask, what is this teaching me? That's the shift. Chaos stops being an attack and becomes a teacher. It stops being pain and becomes practice. It stops being trauma and becomes training. Every storm makes you steadier. Every test makes you tighter. Let's get even clearer. Training means repetition. So what does that mean in your life? It means you must repeatedly face discomfort, consciously, deliberately, intentionally. Don't wait for chaos to arrive. Invite it through discipline, through cold mornings, through workouts when you don't feel like it, through silence when your ego wants to react, through consistency when motivation dies. That's self-imposed chaos. That's controlled adversity. That's how warriors train. You build your internal armor before the battle starts, so when the real storm comes, you're already steady. That's the secret. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your level of training. And if your training is strong, your composure will hold. You have to stop saying, I can't handle this. You've already handled worse. You've survived chaos before. This one, it's just another rep. You don't need sympathy. You need repetition. You need exposure. You need experience. The more chaos you endure consciously, the more unshakable you become. Remember, strength isn't built by escape. It's built by endurance, not by comfort, by composure. And you don't build composure by hiding from the heat. You build it by standing in the fire without losing form. That's the work. That's the practice. That's the discipline. So the next time chaos arrives, don't resist it. Recognize it. Use it. Say, this is training. Say, this is where my discipline grows. Say, every storm makes me steadier. Every test makes me tighter. Say it again until your nervous system believes it. Because repetition builds reality. What you repeat becomes your response. And when you train your response, chaos loses its control. That's the moment you transform. That's the moment you become the calm inside the storm. Remember this, you're not here to avoid storms. You're here to master sailing through them. Every chaotic moment is sculpting your steadiness. Every test is refining your timing. Every disruption is upgrading your discipline. It's not trauma, it's training. So stop labeling it wrong, start using it right. Every storm makes me steadier. Every test makes me tighter. Say it one more time. Every storm makes me steadier. Every test makes me tighter. Because repetition transforms chaos into calm, and calm is your true power. You've mastered the art of composure in chaos. Now it's time to master what you give your energy to.